John Lay yields back. I now go to Mr. Allen for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Duncan, for holding this hearing with the Federal Regulatory Commission. I want to thank the commissioners for being here today. Obviously, we're talking about ensuring reliable and affordable energy. It's critical, and I'm glad to have this opportunity to discuss how this impacts my home state of Georgia. My district is home to Plant Vogtle, which I guess this committee is going to get tired of me talking about, but we're very proud of the fact that we've just completed the first new nuclear power plants built in over 30 years in the United States. Units 3 and 4 are now in commercial operation, bringing reliable, affordable power to Georgians for decades to come. Commissioner Christie, last year we discussed the positive and negatives of vertically integrated markets, regional transmission organizations, and independent system operators. One benefit of a vertically integrated structure is that if the State Public Service Commission values reliability, then utilities must adhere to the priority placed on reliability. I'm concerned that EPA's suite of regulations such as the Clean Power Plan 2.0, revised particulate matter standard, interstate transport rule for ozone, coal ash regulations, and others will result in reliable sources of energy being pushed off the grid. Should public service commissions that highly value reliable services of energy in vertically integrated markets be concerned about forced retirements and the ability of utilities to provide firm generation?
They should, and they are. I've talked to a lot of regulators in your region, and they are extremely concerned about the cost of the EPA power plant rule on the generating resources that they need to keep the lights on in Georgia and your neighboring states in the South. You know, you're primarily IRP, vertically integrated states. You're not in an RTO. What that means is a lot of those generating units that you depend on, especially coal, gas, and nuclear, are in what's called rate base. And your consumers are paying the cost of those units. And so if EPA comes out with a rule that it puts state regulators, really, it gives them a Hobson's choice. You can approve a huge compliance cost for needed generation, and it's going to be passed through dollar for dollar, plus what we call an ROE, a profit, to your consumers. Or the regulators have to say, well, we can't pass these humongous costs on to consumers, so we're going to have to say no to the cost recovery, and then they're going to shut the generating unit down. And you have a lot of southern co-op members. You have a lot of electric co-ops serving rural South. Co-ops, of course, are not owned by stockholders. Co-ops are owned by the very members who are both consumers and members. And the National Electric Co-op Association for the Rural Electric Co-op Association has been very vocal that they can't ask their members, who are already hard-pressed to pay their bills, to pay the compliance costs for the power plant rule. And so they're really between a rock and a hard place. They're having to either consider shutting down the generating units they need for reliability or pass through these huge costs to their own members. So yes, and they're very aware of that, Congressman, both your regulators and the people who run your electric co-ops.
What options do state public service commissions have in vertically integrated markets, and if the government steps in and shuts down reliable generators without an adequate supply of firm generation to replace it?
Well, again, they're facing a Hobson's choice, because if they allow the compliance costs to go through to keep those plants open, that's going to cause tremendous rate increases to their consumers. So as a regulator who did this for 17 years, you don't want to do that.
Right.
But on the other hand, you're talking about the generating units that your integrated resource plan shows are essential to keeping your lights on. So really, you're giving them a hell of a choice. Keep the lights on or burden your consumers with costs that they can't pay. So it's a terrible choice.
Yeah. Well, you know, FERC recently finalized which we talked about, the Order 1920, and I've just got about 30 seconds left. And we've heard from our colleagues about a letter from 32 state public utility commissioners supporting the rule. They assert that this letter shows support for FERC's actions. As Chair Duncan noted, 238 state utility commissions across the country, just 32 have signed the letter. Most are from locations that have carbon-free electricity and net zero economy goals. and I will submit this for the record since I'm out of time. You know, in my opinion, this letter just confirms the Republican argument that Order 1920 is designed to facilitate expensive electricity transmission projects while socializing the cost onto ratepayers from states without the same policy goals. So if you would respond to me in writing on that, I would appreciate it because I'm out of time. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.